There is a generator sitting in your kitchen drawer. Right now that costs nothing to build and requires no fuel you have to purchase from anyone. The average American household paid $1,400 last year to a utility company for electricity that this device produces from 2 ingredients already sitting in your pantry. No solar panels required. No gas generator needed. No grid connection of any kind. Just aluminum foil and baking soda, combined with water in a plastic container on your kitchen counter. The electron flow this combination produces powered emergency radios for 8 consecutive hours during Hurricane Sandy while the surrounding neighborhood sat completely dark. Alessandro Volta first documented the underlying principle in 1792. IBM engineers verified the energy density calculations 2 centuries later and published the results in peer-reviewed literature. The United States Navy filed operational patents on the mechanism and deployed working versions in classified underwater drone programs that ran for weeks without surfacing. But walk into any Home Depot in America today and try to purchase a commercial version of this power cell. You will find nothing on any shelf, not because the chemistry stopped working, because independent electricity generation is not a product the utility industry can meter and bill to you monthly. Rented energy generates quarterly revenue. Owned energy generates independence. They buried the chemistry so you would keep paying for the wire. This is the buried story of the 1748 battery protocol and the infrastructure monopoly that spent 2 centuries making sure it stayed underground. Welcome to Buried Camping. This is where we excavate every blueprint that billion-dollar industries tried to permanently seal away. Hit subscribe now and turn notifications on so the next vault reaches you the moment we open it. Let me take you to a basement in New Jersey on the night of October 29th, 2012. Outside that basement window, Hurricane Sandy has transformed residential streets into moving waterways. The regional power grid collapsed hours ago. The backup battery bank the homeowner assembled over the previous decade died. Sometime during the previous night, a retired electrical engineer named Thomas sits in complete darkness needing to access the emergency broadcast frequency, but his radio produces nothing but silence. He reaches back into a memory from 40 years earlier, a photocopy he made from a university archive of Henry Cavendish's 1766. Research notes on what the scientist called inflammable air. A footnote in those notes referenced a principle of controlled metal oxidation, first formally observed and recorded in 1748, a principle describing how certain metals release trapped energy as measurable electron flow when exposed to a specific category of chemical catalyst. Thomas moves through his kitchen, by flashlight pulling open drawers and cabinet doors. He locates a box of baking soda, a roll of aluminum foil, a plastic storage container, a stack of paper towels. He mixes the white powder into warm water in the container, stirring until the solution reaches saturation point and no more powder will dissolve. He tears the aluminum foil into flat squares. He soaks paper towel sections in the electrolyte solution. He begins assembling a stack on the kitchen counter. Foil square, saturated paper towel. Foil square, saturated paper towel. A layered sandwich of metal and electrolyte, built from materials that cost him nothing beyond what he already owned. He strips the ends of 2 copper wires and connects them to the opposite ends of the stack. He touches the bare wire ends to the battery terminals of his silent emergency radio. Static breaks through the speaker. A voice cuts through the darkness. The red LED power indicator illuminates steadily on the radio face. Thomas sits back and waits for the signal to die. 5 minutes pass. 10 minutes. 20. The red light holds steady without any flicker. He falls asleep in the chair with the radio talking. 8 hours later, he wakes to daylight and the radio, still broadcasting the emergency frequency on the same kitchen stack he assembled from foil and baking soda the night before. The aluminum foil squares in the container have partially converted to a gray, white sludge at their surfaces. But the electron flow continues pumping out at consistent measurable voltage. Thomas reaches for his multimeter and takes a reading. What he measures stops him completely. The energy density of the stack he built from kitchen waste is not merely comparable to the lead acid batteries sitting in his garage. Calculated by weight, it exceeds them. Aluminum releases 8.1 kilowatt-hours of energy per kilogram during controlled oxidation. That figure is 4 times the energy density of the lithium-ion battery currently sitting inside the smartphone you are holding in your hand right now. He built a generator from materials he was about to throw away, and the physics behind what Thomas rediscovered that night did not originate in any modern laboratory. Go back to 1792 in northern Italy, where Alessandro Volta stacked copper discs and zinc discs, separated by brine-soaked cloth in a vertical column on his workbench. That stack produced the first consistent, measurable voltage source in documented scientific history. Volta had not invented electricity. He had created a controlled pathway for electrons, already trapped inside dissimilar metals to flow in a predictable and usable direction. 11 years later, in 1803, the German physicist Johann Wilhelm Ritter demonstrated through systematic experimentation that virtually any two dissimilar metals separated by a weak acid or alkaline solution produce a measurable electrical potential difference between them. Baking soda dissolved in water is an alkaline solution. Aluminum and copper are dissimilar metals. Ritter used nothing more sophisticated than metal discs and weak chemical solutions to power early electrolysis, experiments that his contemporaries considered impossible with available technology. The principle he documented is the identical principle Thomas applied in his New Jersey basement 170 years later. During the winter of 1941, French resistance operatives working in occupied territory faced a specific operational problem. Standard radio batteries were either unavailable through supply channels or too dangerous to source without attracting German military attention. Resistance technicians began experimenting with scrap, aluminum salvaged from crashed aircraft combined with caustic soda solutions to power clandestine transmission equipment. Their informal name for the resulting power source translated from French as cold fire. The aluminum air cells they built from salvaged wreckage kept resistance radio networks operational through occupied winters when conventional battery supply had completely collapsed. In 2002, a high school student in Ohio entered a regional science competition with a project demonstrating an LED array powered continuously for 30 consecutive days, using nothing beyond aluminum cans and salt water. Electrolyte. The student placed at the national level. The chemistry he demonstrated independently had already been classified and operationally deployed by the United States Navy 37 years earlier.